Hello, hello, hello. Hope you're having an incredible day. Will you remind yourself that you are the source of everything you experience and that you can perceive everything any way that you choose? You can express your unique existence any way that you choose. It is possible for you much more easily and much more quickly and much more effortlessly to have the experience you really desire to have now. If you will let down your misperceptions and your judgments, and if you will start to appreciate and express things as what you would actually desire and as what is actually the truth of who and what you are. You've lived your whole life thinking that you are this person that other people have told you about. This person that other people have responded and reacted to. You move through the world and people seem to treat you a certain way, and based on that you seem to be a certain person. You are something far more than that. You are infinite abundance. You are infinite joy. You are the creative expression of everything. And truly let yourself be conscious and aware of that now, more than you ever have been before. It's so easy to get caught up in particular thoughts or particular feelings and think that that is what we are. But underlying every thought, underlying every feeling, underlying every experience is what you actually are, which cannot be defined by any thought, which cannot be defined by any feeling, which cannot be defined by any experience. You can have all of these thoughts and feelings and experiences for the joy of having them, but you are not that. It isn't all there is. You are infinite, and everything you can think, feel, and experience is infinite. What you have been focused on, what you are focusing on, is not the sum total of what you are and what is possible. So relax into a new expression. Relax into a new experience. Allow yourself to know that this is not all there is, that this is not who you are, that this is not what you're stuck with. You are completely free now to express anything. Would you put down expressing anything you no longer enjoy expressing? And what if it was that simple? Anything in your life was that simple. This is what I've been expressing. This is what I've been experiencing. In a lot of different modalities and ways of thinking about this, there is particular importance placed on thoughts and particular importance placed on feelings. And there is this idea that if you think or affirm a certain thing, and then you put a lot of emotional energy into it, that's the way things are created. And that is not incorrect, but it tends to suggest that your thoughts are what's powerful, or your feelings are what's powerful, when in fact you are what's powerful. And the difficulty with believing that your thoughts or your feelings are what's powerful is that if you are thinking or feeling something that doesn't align with what you want, there's this idea that you're not going to get there because your thoughts are the vehicle that you use to manifest things, or your feelings are the vehicle you use to manifest things. They're actually the surface level readout of your creative expression. The thoughts are feedback. They're not actually the sole way you get to what you'd like to manifest. They are part of the manifestation that you're already creating inside of you. And that's a very different way of looking at creation, because you come to understand that you no longer have to police yourself. You no longer have to make sure you're constantly thinking the right thing to get the result that you desire. You come to understand that it actually doesn't matter what you think at all. The thinking merely reflects what you're choosing to express. The feelings merely reflect what you're choosing to express. As an example, if everybody here was promised that next year your income would go from whatever it is now to $1 billion for the year, but you would be as miserable as you have ever felt for that entire year. And at the end of that year, you would have spent that entire $1 billion. You get to have $1 billion for 1 year, but that year is the most miserable. And you go, well, how could that be the most miserable year of my life? That's the thing. The way you feel is not actually attached to money. The way you feel is not actually attached to anything. We decide, oh, this is going to make me feel good. This is going to make me feel bad. When truthfully, it is your choice to express anything you desire to express, regardless of what the canvas is doing. But if someone guaranteed you that next year you'd have $1 billion to play with, but you would be utterly miserable all day, every day for 365, as miserable as you could ever imagine being, but you'd get to play with $1 billion during that time. It's not, okay, if you can survive one miserable year, you get to be $1 billion. That's not what we're talking about. If somebody guaranteed you that for 1 year, you would have a budget of $1 billion that would go away at the end of the year. And you could do anything you want with that $1 billion, but you will absolutely be miserable no matter what you do with that $1 billion. I don't think any of you would take it. And it seems like kind of a silly example. But it's not so dissimilar from experiences we create, so that we come to understand the money doesn't actually have the power to make you feel anything. You can make a lot of money and spend it all. The money doesn't have the power to make you manage the money in a way that appears to be sensible. There truly is no sensible way to manage money or anything else, because your life is just a creative expression of what you are experiencing. But the money doesn't show up and then you suddenly become a master of working with money. You don't need to be a master of working with money. But neither money nor anything else can give you that quality before you say, hold on a second, I'm going to express myself in a different way when it comes to money. I'm not going to keep doing this thing where I feel very foolish anytime I deal with money. I'm not going to keep doing this thing where I feel very miserable anytime I have to pay the bills. I'm not going to keep doing this thing where anytime anybody asks me for money for anything, I'm going to be just absolutely down in the dirt about it. You have the ability to create anything. Anything that you can imagine and beyond anything you can imagine. And you have the ability to create that effortlessly, which is part of the reason why when you put a lot of effort in, it does not always feel good. Sometimes the effort feels great, but a lot of times the effort does not feel that rewarding, because you have the ability to create anything without any effort. Everything that is created inside your consciousness. And the way you perceive your own consciousness will inform the level of ease you feel in creating your experience. If you would look at your feelings about anything and your thoughts about anything as a readout of the way you are dealing with your own consciousness, if you would look at the other people in your life as an expression of your own consciousness, if you would look at your job as an expression of your own consciousness, if you would look at the house or the apartment you live in as an expression of your own consciousness, if you were to look at the money in your bank account as an expression of your own consciousness, the degree to which you are fighting those things, pushing back against those things, resisting those things, you start to see and become aware, I'm really resisting my own consciousness here. I'm really resisting my own awareness here. I'm really using my infinite energy to push against my infinite energy, so I can have this experience of fighting myself. Because most of the time, you're not truly fighting anybody else. You're sitting away from them, thinking about something they said or they did that you didn't like, and making yourself crazy about it when you don't even really let it reach them. And even when you are in active appearance of conflict with another person, how much are you actually checking in with them? And how much are you stewing in what you think and feel about what's occurring and the way you perceive and misperceive what's occurring? And so you see that it has much more to do with your appreciation of your own consciousness than it has to do with anyone or anything else. Your experience of money has far more to do with your experience of your own consciousness, your experience with relationship, your experience with anything you can think of is really a reflection of the way you experience your own consciousness. And changing the way we perceive that, changing the way we experience that, changing the way we express that is actually very easy. It's actually very, very effortless. But we first have to come to understand we're not trying to change other people. We're not trying to change money. We're not trying to change the relationship. Because those things don't actually exist in the way we think they exist. What we actually desire to change is our consciousness, our awareness, our experience, and our expression that creates all of those different things the way they appear to us. And that's much easier to change. If you're in a relationship with someone and they're not treating you the way you'd like, is going to them and screaming about it likely to get you what you desire? But if you're really present with yourself and admit that you might be creating all of it, and admit that if you would be present with your own consciousness, with your own awareness, with your own experience, what would I really like to express here? If I could see what is in front of me in any way in all of creation, how would I like to see it? If I could be present with what is being created right now by me, how would I like to be present with it? If I could relate to everything in my life in any way, how would I like to relate to everything? From separation, from conflict, from resistance, from judgment, or from appreciation, from joy, from excitement, from a sense that anything is possible, from a sense that nothing has ever been wrong. I've never been a victim to anything. I have this incredible canvas in front of me that is ever changing, and I can put anything I want on it. And the way I express myself is nowhere near as significant as I thought it was. I get to do and be anything. I'm not limited. I am not stuck in pain and in suffering and in tragedy and in limitation. Although all of those things are excellent expressions. But when you're tired of expressing them, you can express something else. And it's much easier to express something else than we have ever allowed ourselves to admit. You are creating so much that you don't let yourself admit you're creating. There is such a joyful element to your existence. That you probably don't allow yourself to be truly present with on the surface. Deep down, at the very center of your consciousness, you are completely joyful about everything. There is this all-encompassing, infinite awareness that everything is a joyful expression for you. But here on the surface level in physical reality, you don't really afford yourself nearly as many opportunities to stop and go, wow. Wow. I'm so glad I created that. I'm so glad I allowed myself to experience that. I am so glad that I am conscious and aware of this. I'm so glad I get to be with this. I'm so glad I get to be what creates this. And I'm so glad that I create so well, I don't even have to focus on creating. I can actually be inside of what I'm creating, pretending that I'm not creating it. If you went to a theme park every day and the rides were constantly different and nobody ever announced that, and everything felt completely real and exciting, and there was a diversity of experience. If there was any experience you could have that was as diverse as the one you're creating for yourself right now, you would think that whoever came up with that was a genius. If somebody made a virtual reality you could go into that was half as interesting as real life, you'd go, wow, this person is a genius. But how often do you be present with yourself and go, wow, I'm far more creative than I ever let myself admit. Because I'm creating the way I experience everything. I could just be outside of this creation, passively watching everything that occurs and having complete exacting control over everything that occurs in a very obvious way. But I've given myself this massive puzzle and game and experience that has so many moving pieces that I'm pretending I don't understand. So I can feel like I'm inside of this and not that it's inside of me. You have to really appreciate the kind of power that it takes to create on that level. And you have to appreciate that you are creating on that level. You have to really love that you create on that level. And you have to forgive the choice to forget day in and day out that you're creating on that level, because you have these moments where you admit, wow, what if I really am creating on that level? And you feel really good when you think that you might be creating on that level. And then you will come up with a million reasons to immediately go and forget that. And the reasons are hilarious if you really look at them. Yeah, I'm creating everything and I'm more or less the master of the universe, but then I got a bill for $75 and now I'm just, there's no way I'm creating any of this and I hate everything and I'm really mad at everyone, but especially me. That's a really hilarious way. When you are of the magnitude and the scale that you can't even comprehend because it's infinite, the fact that you can be infinite and care about the bills and care about an argument and care about other people, the fact that you can be infinite and care about other people judging you is amazing. Because you are so much bigger and ever expanding than anybody's ever going to be able to judge you out of. But you can really pretend that that really has an effect on you. You can really pretend to be hurt by that. You can really pretend to be ashamed. It's amazing. It's amazing that you've given yourself that gift of experiencing variety and flavor and diversity. It's amazing. And you're powerful enough that you could wipe that all away. But you don't necessarily want to. And when you want to change everything so that anger no longer exists on planet Earth, you'll do that. But if anger still exists in your consciousness and your awareness, don't punish yourself for that. Don't judge yourself for that. Don't be ashamed that a parking ticket can talk you out of being the creator of everything. That's amazing. That's amazing that you can invest yourself with the ability to forget that you are creating the way you experience everything. It's amazing that you can convince yourself that that's down to the way your parents raised you, or that's down to the way the society you grew up in expects you to be, or that it's up to the person you're in a relationship with or anybody else. It's amazing that you can convince yourself of that. And if you will really just go, wow, it is amazing that I can, any moment I want to, convince myself that I'm not the one in the driver's seat. Any moment I want to, I can forget how powerful I am. Any moment I want to, I can forget how creative I am. Any moment I want to, I can forget the nature of my own consciousness. You gotta really, really, really love yourself for giving yourself that gift. And you gotta forgive yourself for misinterpreting that, for misperceiving that, for judging that. It's not that you did anything wrong. And that is, for me, what forgiveness is not anyone did anything wrong. Forgiveness is removing judgment. Realizing that there's absolutely no need to judge what you've chosen. Appreciating everything that you've chosen and taking any judgment you have about what you've chosen and wiping it away. because there are far more interesting things to play with than just judgment. But judgment is, for a lot of us, fascinating to play with. It is fascinating to create this ever-evolving rule book that you don't get any of the pages to and try to figure out what each individual person is going to want from you. That is fascinating. To walk through your life and look at every person and go, how's this person judging me? What do I need to do so this person thinks I'm good? What do I need to do to avoid this person? That's fascinating. To care what every single person you ever encounter thinks about you. That's utterly fascinating. Especially when you're creating the way you experience that in the first place. It's utterly fascinating to be completely beyond all judgment, completely beyond all pain and suffering, and to create all of that just to see what it would be like. Because you are infinitely and eternally bathing in this amazing pool of consciousness that will never try to hurt you. You are infinitely in this place beyond description, where you are just radiant joy with no boundaries and no definition and no consideration or limitation of any kind. And the fact that you can forget that is an incredible creation. The fact that you give yourself the choice of being able to temporarily tune out of that and turn away from that and feel so disconnected from that you can pretend you don't even know that that's there, that underneath all of this, nothing is wrong, nothing is hateful, nothing is hurtful, there is no disease, there is no pain. You are just this infinite, ongoing joy that radiates through everything. It's amazing that you can give yourself the illusion of not being that, just so you can see what it feels like to not be that for a couple of days or a couple of weeks or a couple of months or a couple of years. And some of us build up such a long narrative where we've pretended not to be that for so long that we want to pretend it would be so difficult to go back to that awareness, to open up to that awareness, to have that awareness anew right now. We want to pretend it would be so difficult to just be present for one moment and go, wow, I remember what I really am. And if you would do that for one moment, it doesn't matter how many years of the illusion of suffering you have walked through. If you will for one moment remember what you actually are, that whole narrative can be wiped away instantaneously. It's a pretty big secret. If you want that transformation, it's not even a transformation because it's just remembering what you already are. But if you want that to be a journey and you want that to be trying every different modality under the sun to try and get to what's going to make you feel whole again, when you already are whole. You're just choosing not to feel that way. You're just choosing not to think that way. You're just choosing to misperceive your wholeness, your oneness, your joy as anything other than what is. If you want that to be a journey, it can be. And there's nothing wrong with that. But all it really truly takes is one moment where you remember and admit what you actually are. So give yourself permission today to have the moment where you remember what you actually are and you admit it. You don't hide from it anymore. You don't run from it anymore. You don't fight it anymore. You don't resist it anymore. You say, wow, everything that I have placed in my awareness and my consciousness on top of what I actually am. Everything that I've zoomed in on, everything that I've magnified, everything that I've put my exclusive focus and attention on is not real. What I am is far greater than what I've been paying attention to. What I am is far greater than what I've been focused on. What I am is far greater than anything I create. I love everything that I create. Everything that I create is amazing, but it's not bigger than me. It's amazing that I can make it look bigger than me. It's amazing that I can make it feel bigger than me. But today I'm willing to admit that it's not actually bigger than me. Today I am willing to admit that what I'm looking at is the surface of what I am, if it's even the surface of what I am. What I actually am reaches so much farther. Is so much lighter, is so much easier, is so much more joyful. I'm willing to admit today that I have a lot more power than I've ever let myself be aware of. And I'm willing to admit that I've been using a lot of it to create some stuff that has seemed pretty scary. And I'm willing to admit that it's actually not. I'm willing to admit that nothing is truly more powerful than me, because it's all an expression of my consciousness to begin with. And with that, we are done for the day. I have a really exciting announcement starting tomorrow, August the 12th. I'm going to be doing a 4-day paid experience called Golden Experience. I wanted to create something that was a bit different than what I've been doing the last few days, where there was a bit more hands-on time with people. And I know that a lot of this stuff can seem a bit mental or theoretical, or like you come to this stuff and you go, yeah, okay, great. Tell me how to get the result I'm looking for. So I am not going to promise anybody that they get any result out of anything, because it isn't up to me what you express. But if you are still looking for a more tactile understanding, if you're still looking at specific areas of your life where there are specific things that you want that you can't seem to get across, we're going to spend 4 days looking at that and examining that. And I want you guys to come on and talk a lot more and ask questions and engage with like what you're actually creating. And it's going to be a big exploration in consciousness, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I am really, really, really excited about it. Every time I do anything, I get so much out of it. I really don't care how much money I make or how much people come to me afterwards and say, hey, this was really amazing. I really don't care about any of that, because every single thing that I do, I get such an amazing sense of a different experience out of. So I only really want you guys to choose this if it's for you, and you will know if it's for you immediately. And if you know it's for you immediately, don't hesitate, because it starts tomorrow. You can also join late if you want to join late. I don't care. It's going to be a really wild ride, so I don't have any interest in controlling how it shows up. And as a special gift, some of you have been asking me, can I get these recordings not on YouTube so I can, listen to them over and over and over again without having to have YouTube open, because I guess you're not a YouTube premium person. All of the recordings that we've done that have gone up on YouTube are included as a download in that program. So as soon as you sign up, you'll get a download of all these, I think 7 that we've done so far, that you can have forever as my gift to you. So hope to see you there. Hope to see you creating more, experiencing more, enjoying your life more. Hope to see you getting younger and happier and richer, and hope you are experiencing more and more and more and appreciating everything. So, I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.